Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is Snap Report weeks 4 to 1. This material Dennis and I discuss on the Science of FantasyFootball.com website, our podcast, Data Lab for frequency's sake. We went into some really interesting details on that podcast, but now this is the complete package material, so I'm going to kind of lightly skip through it. Again, I'm not here to spoon feed you. This is just kind of showing you my process, and if you'd like to jump along, that's great. Uh, I will applaud the few of you that are taking the time to listen. Good for you. I hope this helps, and just showing you what I do. Do what you need to do in this world, but this is my process. Okay, so chasing the volume is a heuristical rule of thumb. There's no doubt about that. But it's only a starting point. Okay, and I talked about that in the podcast. And it's just a beginning to start framing your thinking, right? It's not, you haven't reached the end by any means. People seem to kind of throw snap targets and okay, we're done. No, you're not done. You're just starting to be done. Well, I don't want to put that much time into it. Great. Then you probably won't win as many games as you could if you did put the effort in, right? You're not going to get much fire if you don't chop wood. So, I'm sorry if you don't understand that. And if it's just the game to you, then enjoy it. But it's more than that to me. It's a passion. It's something I got to do. It's burning inside of me, and I've got to hit it with everything that I can. And this is the approach. So every once in a while, and every time I come in with some different metrics that I really don't advertise a lot, but I thought I'd share one aspect that's out there that I like to pay attention to. It's points per second scored. Teams are slow or fast, and I got that, but how efficient are they at generating actual points per second? And it's nice to know what their yards per game is. And I've color coded that. Green is good, red is not good. And then I do a ratio metric looking at, I call it efficiency, yards per game versus points per second. So I try to equate the yardage and the actual scoring of points there. And it identifies me, what is that? Three, six, 8 teams that are really efficient. And number one is Carolina. Isn't that interesting? And the issue there is they're pretty good at points per second. It's just they suck in yards. But when you combine the two, then they're really efficient. It's just they're not producing anything. So you can't take this at face value, but it tells me if they could ever up their game with yards per game and keep the same points per second, they have room to grow and to actually put more bacon on the table. But right now they won't. They may never this season, but it is interesting. Clearly, teams like Detroit, Baltimore, KC are pretty much standard. You may be surprised at Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville. Maybe you probably are not surprised. But again, those seemingly are fairly efficient at yardage and scoring points per second. So for some of those that are not apparent, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, there's room to grow. So to me, I use this to think about some deep plays here, daily fantasy, trades, players, I want to figure that out a little bit. I want to put these on my watch list. And the teams I'm worried about are in red. that seem to have low efficiency. New Orleans, I don't think that's a surprise. San Francisco, the Jets maybe, but they're not. They getting a lot of yards, but and that's good PPR, but they're just not putting those points on. New England, Washington, Denver, Green Bay, and Indianapolis. So this is Friday. We just saw Thursday. Is it any wonder that Denver and Indianapolis didn't really do much? Some of us already knew it wasn't going to be much. This this metric really framed that, and I had another post, and I thought it was funny. Everybody's shocked and amazed. It's like, no, not at all. Should you be shocked and amazed? Their offense is not efficient, and their defenses are pretty stout. I talked about that. So a combination. So you're going to need multiple streams of data to try to get a better picture. Okay, your league mates are not. They're going to look at quick lists, top to bottom, and okay, I'm done. No, you're not. Okay, so those of you listening to me realize that on those teams in red, the thunder clouds are crashing and the lightning, and there's warning. Danger, danger. And certainly those, right above that is an issue, and don't, get sucked into some of these other ones here. So just be cautious. Look at Cincinnati. Look at Philadelphia. Uh, I think there's more that could be done there. And just keep that in the back of your mind. I think this is some interesting metrics. I won't show this all the time, but just I open the door and let you know there's extra stuff out there that most sites are not going to give you because A, they don't want to do it, B, they can't do it, or C, they have no clue it's even exists. It's the unknown unknown for them. I don't know what they're doing. Okay. Uh, and you're saying, well, Dr. Bush, how come, you're not working for the, look, I'm not sure I'd want to work for people in a structured environment. I work best unstructured and letting my mind wander where it needs to go, right? I follow the data when I'm in search of a question. So the science method, there's a question, and then you go figure out what the answer, or at least to approach that. For me, team efficiency is a continual weekly question. Okay. So that question never is answered. It's always moving. Okay. The target is always moving. I mean, to me, that these websites should have a list. These are the questions we are on board and trying to help you guys with. Okay. And we're getting our data scientists and et cetera to answer these questions. That's how you should approach this. And folks are not doing it. So, you know what I say to them? Hey, their loss, your gain, the few and the proud. Okay. So, actually, sorted, and you saw the sorting from most efficient to least efficient teams. And here's yards per game in yellow and points per second. So as we get the less efficient, look at the gaps here. You can almost find where things start getting real lean. Look at these gaps here. So those gaps really worry me when I look at this data. Okay. Again, these big sites, I don't know what they're doing for you. Uh, I don't pay attention to them. Actually, I don't. I don't have time to listen to I don't have time to do what I need to do that I know is important versus listening to all the blowhards on Twitter and all the rest of it. Okay. I don't know what to say. Uh, I personally, I wouldn't waste my time, but that's you guys, not me. Okay. Positional usage measured by snaps. This is something I've been doing for 10, 15 years. To me, I think it gives us another frame, another way to look at team data. Notice we haven't got the players yet. See, it's this top down, and I think you've got to go bottom up. So that's been my philosophy of the lessons. Again, I don't hear that discussed at all. It's sad and weak sauce that that's not out there. I don't know what people are doing. Okay. Uh, anyway, I like to use this method to frame some teams, and I think that drives us looking at other aspects. And I'll go through some of these. So the metric tables here. Here's 4 teams at a time. Team position, scoring levels. So I actually put all the positions on a scaled scoring level, so you can compare all of them together. Running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. Take a grand average over the 4 weeks. And then percent usage is based on the average of all running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers, player snaps, right? So, if there's only one running back, then you're really just talking about the one player. But most of the time, multiple players are involved in each team. Green Bay's probably the one that only has 2 running backs. I don't know if Dallas has more than 2, but I know Green Bay only has 2 right now. So, anyway, things that I look at in my data. Let's take a look at Arizona. Look at the usage of the running backs, 29%. That's not bad, but it's not great. And look at the scoring level, 36. Okay. Look at the wide receivers, Arizona, 22. Look at their usage, 46. So right away, a lot of usage, little scoring. Running backs, not a lot of usage, but a lot of scoring. So if you just kind of do a ratio in your head, you see that Arizona running backs, it's worth your time to find out the depth chart pretty deep in the running backs, and you definitely want to have some of these guys stashed away because they are, what is it, doing beyond what they should be doing given their opportunities, right? Their usage. Whereas the opposite, wide receivers at Arizona, be cautious about the depth chart there. I'm not sure I'm going to go too deep. When Hopkins gets back, I'm probably pruning some of my deeper Arizona wide receivers I have. Dortch is an example. He was hot when Hopkins, but I think when you had him and Moore now back, I think this data is telling me be careful and start pruning players. So if you want to then jump all the way, and well, let's look at the visual, and you can see the usage versus the scoring level is by the bar. Look at the gap with wide receiver usage and scoring level. Look at the running backs versus it overlaps. It's just like, wow, they're doing so much with so little compared. Very inefficient. It says something about the quarterback too. So now, what you can do is go to, and if you're curious about who's doing what running backs and wide receivers and things, you can look there. But I wanted to key you in on the individual player level, team, position, player, average of the scoring level of the players, the snaps, week 1, 2, 3, and 4, the average snaps, and any difference in the last 2 weeks. So it is clear to me that Benjamin, you definitely want to have pieces of him. And if you have a deep bench, Williams is a good handcuff to the handcuff. Because of the scoring levels and the usage levels, they're just not lining up. Uh, they're doing more than they should based on that. Where, on the other hand, the wide receivers, certainly Marquise Brown, and Dorsch has been doing well, but look last week, and that really what scares me is look at that drop from 67 snaps to 27 with Rondale Moore back. And when Hopkins comes back, so you've got a position that the team is using a lot, but not producing a lot of scoring as a group. Obviously, individually, Brown is your guy, but Hopkins should go. So it seems to me that Dortch is going to be the fourth of that. And of course, AJ Green is out there at some point. So I'm probably pruning him down. Certainly in shallow benches and in deep benches, depends on what else is out there. But if I can prune him for some other upside play, and you're saying upside, what's up? This kind of metrics that I just pointed you to gives you an insight into upside that the big sites, I don't know what they're telling you. Okay. Uh, they need to catch a clue. So let's take a look at, I'll do a couple more that I'm going to move on because y'all don't want to hear me run my mouth too long. Okay. So the point of this is you put the effort in, right? You chop the wood, not me. Because I know what this is. I can look at this. I did it. The hours it took to generate this puts it in my head. So I've got it at fingertip. Okay. Take a look at Atlanta. Look at the scoring level. Look at you, just like Arizona. It's another one. Man, they're putting all their scoring into the running back. Yet the wide receivers and the tight ends seem to be used more, but they're not delivering. So Pitts is a problem. I'm not saying it's something you have to like prune Pitts but Pitts. I'm just saying that's what's going on now. It doesn't make me happy. A lot of shallow bench leagues that I play, I only grab one tight end. Now that I see this, okay, and I've waited a few weeks, I may have to consider, adding some tight ends in a streaming situation. For is I'm not pleased. I know you're not if you drafted him. The wide receivers, I'm not happy. They're not being used well. I don't like that gap. Let's see Baltimore. Uh, Not scoring running backs, but they're using them as much as the wide receivers. But look where the points are, wide receivers. Look where, of course, Mark Andrews. They're using the tight end a lot and they're scoring a lot. That seems pretty much what their game is, right? And my feeling is they need to, start shifting the usage to more the wide receivers in Baltimore. I don't know what they're going to do. I know Dobbins is back, etc. But if he can't score, then that's a problem for Baltimore, isn't it? Okay. Buffalo. Look at the scoring level and the usage for the running back. That's not bad. Look at that. It intrigues me. They're scoring pretty damn good for their efficiency, their usage. So I'm pleased with the Singletary here. And something happens to him, it may be definitely worth a handcuff. Tight end Knox, I'm sad to see that. They're putting a lot of eggs in the tight end basket there by usage, and they're not getting a return. So I don't know what the issue is. I have definitely moved Knox into the streaming category here. Got to. Okay, I know you guys, well, we did that week one. I understand. I like to tease things out a little bit and, see what's going on that way. Wide receivers, they're the hot dog scoring, and they're putting 39%. It's not bad. But look at Arizona, 46%. Imagine if Buffalo put their wide receivers at 46%. Goodness. See, so when I look, I lament that they're not putting more eggs in that wide receiver basket. So I see like there's more improvement. So I think the depth in Buffalo is worth your play as well. So if we go to Buffalo, and I know I'm running my mouth for 20 minutes here, so we can see where Buffalo hits. So Buffalo, really, if you look across, it's in the top, was that almost half? So they could do more. That's fine. Here's Buffalo. Look at Davis. Lots of usage, but he's not bringing home. It's Diggs, McKenzie, but he's kind of got hurt, but he's been delivering. Uh, Jake has been doing pretty good, but he's apparently can't stay healthy. Crowder, I think he's out, so he's gone. Khalili Shaker, that intrigues me. I think he might be worth a stash in a deep bench. I think you can't give up on Davis just because the metrics that Buffalo's showing. In fact, if they ever increase, you'll want him. But right now, he's not returning value. It's Diggs and McKenzie. But if he's hurt, then maybe this week it's Diggs. It may flip back to McKenzie. So I watched that. Okay. And let's see. Let me just jump here. So this data is just setting across the league, the usage levels and the scoring levels. Take a look at Green Bay, 41% usage, number one. And I did an efficiency of scoring, and they're not the most efficient. They're using them a lot, but they're not getting as much as they need to get. The best is Detroit, so you definitely want to invest. Detroit, New England, and Philadelphia, and Kansas City. I mean, I'm liking these, as far as efficiency metrics, things that worry me. San Francisco, rut row. Baltimore, rut row. Rams, rut row. So Carolina, rut row. CMC, it's just not putting the bacon on the table, folks. So that's sad. Maybe it will improve. These numbers will change, but Harris in Pittsburgh, that's sad. But anyway, you can take a look and seeing who's putting, imagine Kelsey. Folks, I have grabbed Disley every which way. Look at number two. Why'd you do that? Oh, number two. Nice efficiency, folks. Andrews, everybody. Pitts is highly used, but look at the efficiencies. It's not worse. I mean, it could be better, but it's not worse. New England is the worst. Not the worst. Dallas is the worst. Dallas the worst. Oh, yeah. Schultz. How come everybody's upset at Schultz? There it is. The efficiency is last. So this gives you an eye opening. Look at Hawkinson. Come on, Hawkinson. He woke up last week, but he needs to keep waking up. And you can look at the wide receivers. Look at the top three. Minnesota, Carolina, the Raiders. Minnesota's the only one that's bringing the bacon home. Look at the efficiency. New Orleans, actually, surprisingly, is doing pretty good with nothing base. Denver, that's okay. Buffalo, nice. Who's the top efficient? Buffalo. Who's number two? Miami. Is that any surprise? So I could have sorted by efficiency that way. So anyway, this gives you another way to start framing it. And like I said, you can use the team metrics to get into the player and identify what's what and who's who there. So I hope that I've at least give you a little bit more teaching moments here on how I use my data. And you can check all my stuff out this week at scienceoffantasyfootball.com. All the good stuff there. Let's crush week 5, folks. I know you can do it. You're listening to me. No excuse now. Here's the stuff. You just got to put it all together. And it's not something going to come, this week. Oh, I got it off. No, this is a journey. Okay. You learn a little bit. You maybe take a step back. You forgot or whatever. It's just a learning, right? You don't become an expert overnight. It takes a lot of drills and a lot of work. If you're interested, unless something happens to me, I'm planning on, keeping doing this till I get bored with it or whatever. There's no money in this, just stuff I like to do. Till I lose my enthusiasm, I'll keep showing you stuff that I'm doing, and it's probably going to be way different than what the so-called experts are doing out there in cartoony land. Okay, y'all take care. Thanks for listening.